First of all, just say namaste and welcome everybody. This is possibly my fourth Zoom experience. So I'm I'm very new to Zoom, and thank you for coming and giving me this opportunity to just meet you all and share a bit of time with you. So as Graham said, the main focus of this talk Q&A is the Q&A. Let's first of all start off by, we won't chant because I know it's quite difficult to chant via Zoom. I did have my Shruti box ready to chant to, but it'll shut my volume down. So rather than chanting, I would just like to say that may we all be protected in the principles of yoga. That the fact that we come together means that we all want to be nourished by one another so that we can learn from one another and grow together. And also that we come together with a intention, and that intention creates a focus. Our intention is to work towards the ever-increasing, expanding consciousness and really our own awareness. And so collectively we're all looking at growing towards the light together. This brings a good focus, and hopefully we'll feel the energy in the space between us. For me, that's where all of the information is in the space. I can sort of say that at the moment that we're in a space-time reality, this three-dimensional world. Our yoga practice takes to the opposite to that pattern of space-time to time-space. When we're in space-time reality, what that really means is that we are aware of the separation. And so we all come together because we feel this separation, and what we long for is connection. We long for connection as a couple in terms of our loved one, connection as a family or friends, and our community. And so when we're in space-time, the space-time continuum exacerbates the feeling of space and disconnectedness. We feel all of the space between all of the physical material objects, and therefore we feel separate. And so our yoga practice, our focus, our intention is to be able to transcend this separation so that we can arrive at time-space. Now, time-space is a quantum field. It's when you're in the field, you feel the energy around you. So hopefully Great Vera will be also felt within the Zoom call, and so that this meeting will be memorable for all of us. And hopefully the few seeds, I think Alex is there as well, the acorns that we share. Nice to see you, Alex. The acorns that we share will be able to be planted and to grow and produce more acorns so that we can all share. And so there's the last line of the teaching chant is Shabahai. May we all realize that we have a voice and that no one voice is more important than the others. And so I be the one who's leading this talk and Q&A, but we're all students on the path of yoga. And what's beautiful is the opportunity to share. And the last couple of years, it has been a little bit difficult. Our reach has been restricted in terms of our physical connection. I've been quite resistant to Zoom, and so that's why I'm a newbie at Zooming. And so, Sahana Vavatu, Sahana Bhunaktu, Sahaviryam Karavavahai, Tejasvi Navadhi Tamastu Mahavidvi Shavahai. So may we commence. First of all, I want you all to arrive in the same place. We're all in different rooms, different spaces, especially as I mentioned, that space-time reality. There's a lot of space between us. And one way to do that is to vinyasa together. It's afternoon, and so let's have the afternoon stretch that came from Krishnamacharya via Vayu in Korea. Korea is a lovely place that we have lovely students over there, and one is Vayu, and Vayu introduced me to Krishnamacharya's 7 stretches for the spine. I've explored further and made it into a 15 vinyasa sequence to explore the natural movements of the spine. So let's do that together so we can move and breathe together. And that'd be a really good beginning. So let's interlock our fingers, bring them in front of your heart, and then let's inhale extension. This extension is to go anterior with the pelvis, and then on Dway 2, let's do posterior pelvis and go flexion in the spine. And then Trini 3, let's go back up to an extension. And Chatwari 4, a deep flexion to the back of the heart. And Pancha 5, inhale, bring the hands to the heart. It's anterior pelvis again, extension through the spine. And Shat, exhale, the back of the head. Push the back of the head away. Sapta, inhale the arms up. Now Ashta is a side flexion. When we stretch to the side, let's see if we can really breathe in through that left channel, the moon channel, and then exhale, look down. And then Nava 9, inhale, come all the way up. Stretch right up again, and Desha 10, go to the left side. Inhale, nice long stretch up through the sun channel, and exhale, look down. Ekadashara 11, inhale, back up to the center. And one of my favorites is to then do a little spiral ball down. I call this a little rosebud, and I imagine the spirally tight packed petals, and then I inhale, spiral tall, and exhale, look far to the right. And then Tridashara 13, inhale back up to the center, and Chaturdashara 14, spiral down to the left side. Inhale, spiral tall. I also think about my DNA, and exhale, look far to the left. And then last one, Panchadashara 15, inhale all the way up, and exhale, release. I'd also like to take you through a Focus 12 as well, just so that we can all then connect not just through our bodies, but connect through the breath. Let's see if we can breathe through the camera, into the screen, into the space, so then we can all start sharing the same breath together. So with your thumb on the left hand, on the base of the left index finger, with your right hand, let's keep our eyes open, and so we can see all the hands come up together. Let's see all the hands come up together. And then Rechaka, long and fine as you exhale. Ekam 1, Poraka, inhale. Ekam 1, Rechaka, exhale. Thumb to the middle of the index finger. Dway 2, Poraka, inhale. Dway 2, Rechaka, exhale. Trini 3, Poraka, inhale. Trini 3, Rechaka, exhale. Chatwari 4, Poraka, inhale. Chatwari 4, Rechaka, exhale. Pancha 5, Poraka, inhale. Pancha 5, Rechaka, exhale. Shat 6, Poraka, inhale. Shat 6, Rechaka, exhale. Sapta 7, Poraka, inhale. Sapta 7, Rechaka, exhale. Ashto 8, Poraka, inhale. Ashto 8, Rechaka, exhale. Nava 9, Poraka, inhale. Number 9, Rechaka, exhale. Desha 10, Poraka, inhale. Desha 10, Rechaka, exhale. Ekadasha 11, Poraka, inhale. Ekadasha 11, Rechaka, exhale. Dvadasha 12, Poraka, inhale. Dvadasha 12 and exhale, release. Breathe in naturally. And exhale. Time, space. A simple 2.5 minute breath meditation can take you from space-time to time-space. Are you following me? Space-time means there's a lot of time. Space-time means there's a lot of space between all the objects. Time-space reverses that. We're now, having reached a 2.5 minute breath cycle, entered into dharana and potentially into dhyan. When we transfer our consciousness, we are in a different place, in a different state. In space-time, the separateness is if I was to reach forward to the screen, there is a time, there's a distance between me and the screen. And so my thought to touch the screen puts the thought here, the screen there, and there's a separation. When you reverse it, and it's time, space, you have all of the time. And in that infinite place of time, we are at the vibratory nature of thought itself. And so the whole practice of yoga is about thought. And we want to be able to exit the place where we're attached in space-time to the objects of our thoughts. And this is where pratyahara comes into it. Pratyahara is that bridge or that portal where we swap from one realm to the other realm. From the shift of consciousness here to touching the screen is another, put the consciousness there. But when we went through our focus 12, it brought us all together. So the separation of space-time dissolved, and we now are in time-space in a simple focus 12. Some of you may have questions further in the Q&A to ask about the focus 12, and we can possibly go there. But I convened the meeting to come together to talk about what I call the Guruji Sutras. And really, the Guruji Sutras are those insights that come from your inner Guruji, your own inner Guru, own inner Guruji. So I had my Guruji, my teacher, who possibly translated the Yoga Sutras indirectly to me. He passed me statements and comments which were his way of passing the sutras to me. And so also the other way to look at the Guruji Sutras are that the teacher that gives you the direction, gives you the signposts, the path to follow, is also sharing what they learned from their teacher. So it goes back, right back to the very source. So for me, the Guruji Sutras are not just Pattabhi Jois. They are my teacher's presentation or sharing of yoga. And so whenever I enter into studying the sutras, the most important thing for me with the sutras is, what do they mean to me? And so when I read or hear and a sutra comes in, it then is inside me that I contemplate, I meditate on it. And then the answer is coming from me, how it means to me in my life. I have had a number of very powerful sutras from Pattabhi Jois, and one of them was, that man is only exercising. And it would have been maybe my second or third visit to Mysore, and it corresponded with the time that Lina Miali and myself were really trying to work out the vinyasa, trying to work out exactly what Pattabhi Jois was sharing with us. And I've shared this many times, that at first I misunderstood. My Sanskrit was very bad at the beginning, and Chatwari, Pancha, Shat, I thought meant jump back, upward dog, downward dog. It was actually Lina Miali that found, by traveling to France and studying with Guruji in France, he came back to Mysore at Christmas time when I was there, and he said, "John, guess what he's counting? He's counting in Sanskrit." And so once we really discovered that he was counting every breath movement, we really got the interest and started to study. In fact, we had clipboards, and Lina and myself did full vinyasa in the Mysore Shala. And Lina actually produced a book. I've produced a number of little booklets that aren't in print, but students have had copies of them on the teacher trainings. And so that sutra, that man is only exercising. When he said it to me, he pointed at me, as I am pointing at Ian right now. And when I point at Ian and I point at his chest, and if I was to say to Ian, that man is only exercising, what happened when I received that was like a bolt of lightning into my heart. And what I realized was that I had been following my ego. I had been like an athlete. I was competing with myself, competing with others, wanting to be the best. And there I was, going out through my senses. I was wanting to look good. I was wanting to be seen, wanting to be noticed. And I certainly got noticed by Pattabhi Jois when he looked at me and said, that man is only exercising. And what that meant was that I was working out. My practice was a workout. Yes, the practice of asana is definitely an exercise. It definitely is a physical workout. But if your mind and your intention is fixed on that workout, fixed on the body, that's where your energy goes. And so my mind was going outward. My energy was going out. I was using a lot of energy, wasting a lot of energy. And Guruji turned that around inside me with the count, the breathing, and the asana together. So I really then began to understand what Tristana was. That Tristana was a trifocus, not just the drishti, but the drishti is where your eyes go. If I was to look out the window, then my energy is taken away from you and goes out the window. So where the eyes go, the mind goes, the intention goes. Where you put your energy, that's where the effect's going to be, the response is going to be over there. When we go into our breath, so Yoga is mind control. And so when Guruji pointed his finger and said, that man is only exercising, he wanted me to turn my workout around and turn it inward into a work in. And so when I started to learn to count in Sanskrit, started to learn the choreography of each asana, that the choreography was quite simply counted, and that each asana had a full vinyasa, and each asana had a state, which I call the flower, and that state is where we regulate our breath 5 times. That's where we're trying to achieve Sthira Sukha Asana. We're trying to be comfortable, steady with Ujjayi breathing. Now, Ujjayi breathing is equal exhalation, equal inhalation. When we went through the focus 12, roughly 6-second exhale, 6-second inhale, just one breath cycle, one exhale for 6, one inhale for 6 is 12 seconds. And according to the Vedic formula that I discovered in a Shivananda book, 12 seconds is the duration it takes when you're focusing the mind through the breath to reach dharana. Dharana is yogic concentration, and that takes 12 seconds. Now with the focus 12, if we repeat that dharana 12 times, the Vedic formula states that dhyana, the doorway to meditation, is 12 times dharana. And so on that focus 12, when we're doing a breath cycle for 6 out and a breath cycle for 6 in, that's dharana just there on the base of your index finger. Multiply that by 12 and we reach the doorway to dhyana. So what that's doing is it's changing space-time. That when we're in space-time, for me to go to the bathroom or go to the kitchen or to put on the kettle, my mind is saying, kitchen, kettle, make a cup of coffee. So my consciousness is here, but then I've put my consciousness into the kitchen. And space separates those two levels of consciousness. My body's going to follow my mind to the kitchen, and that takes time. When we go through the cycle of breath and start to count it, we hold time in our hands. And so what then happens is we warp, we shift it to time-space. And so here we are now back in our time-space. Thank you, Graham, for being able to see the problem, fix the problem, and here we are. Back on the Guruji Sutras, where that man is only exercising. The workout has been turned to a work-in. The workout is still very important. It's my body, my temple. It's my temple, and to be physically fit and healthy, I need to keep my daily practice. You were with me, believe it or not, while I was practicing this morning. I was practicing not just for me, but practicing for you. I was practicing so that I could be focused for this meeting, to be able to be an exemplar of one who has practiced for over 30 years, still maintaining a practice, to maintain a physical health, to be able to keep that temple clean, to be disease-free, and then also for the body that's being moved by the breath, that the breath itself is healthy, that that breath has a length, that breath has a width, and that breath has a depth. In order to arrive in this physical 3-dimensional body, to really appreciate what it is to be human, we have to live in the third dimension through the breath. We can't just breathe in and out. That's two-dimensional breathing. We need to access that back door of the heart. So when we're doing Chatwari and really stretching here, that was us really opening the back door of the heart as we exhale. And as we brought the hands to the front, there was opening the front door of the heart, opening up the throat, and then we're opening the back of the third eye, beautifully back of the third eye. So when you start doing these movements with your spine, which happens in Surya Namaskar, up dog, down dog, we are moving through all of the chakras. So when you turn your practice from that man is only exercising to an inward journey, we realize that we have not just all of the time within us, we have all of the space within us. We forget that we are a soul. We forget. We get caught up with this human physical body, and I was so attached to that physicality and how it looked, and Guruji just cut it by saying that man was only exercising. When he got me looking inside, then he asked me another question. This was at another sutra. And the other sutra was, John Scott, where is God? And when he pointed his finger at me again, it was a Saturday afternoon. We used to have theory classes with Pattabhi Jois on Saturday afternoon. And when he pointed his finger again at me, in the audience, asking me specifically, where was God? Being one of an atheist family, no religious studies, not a churchgoer at all, having Scottish parents, being born in New Zealand, I felt like I was just a human being, free. And the concept of God was not even a subject that I entertained. And so moving from the physical exercise, that man only exercising, to going into an internal meditation, then to be asked, where is God, John Scott? I was already on the back pedal because I was always having difficulty listening to Guruji's Indian English. And I was always a step behind. And so I was like realizing he's asked me a question, he's asked me where God is, where is God? And by the time I got to realize I needed to answer that, he was already hitting the wall. And he hit the wall and he said, this is God. And then he hit the floor and said, this is God. And then he pointed at me and said, you are God. And that was another bolt of lightning. So the first bolt of lightning was, I'm only exercising. The second bolt of lightning was that my teachers telling me I'm God. I received that straight away. I wasn't backpedaling. It was such a shock. And then he said, I am God. And then he said to all of you, you are God. And that was a big moment that afternoon with Pattabhi Jois in Mysore, way back in the early 90s. And so I've always been one for inquiry. Inquiry and questioning has always been huge. And so when I'm given a question like that, I dig deep. I go deep. And so through the counted method of Ashtanga Vinyasa Yoga, I have turned my physical practice, my workout, to a work-in. And in that work-in, I'm realizing that space-time is an illusion. It's a huge illusion that between us is all this space. Between us is this disconnect. This is all an illusion. And so my practice has taken me to that place where my questioning has gone, okay, what is God? Pattabhi Jois was telling me, God is everywhere. Everything is God. Or what is that? Everything is consciousness. And so, for me, where you place your attention, that's where the energy goes. Where the energy goes, now this is what's really important to understand, is that matter responds. Matter, energy and matter responds. Your body is energy and matter. Put it into the yogic terminology, Purusha and Prakriti. Purusha really is consciousness looking at Prakriti. Prakriti is energy and matter. And so there's that beautiful, when I draw the yin and yang symbol of Purusha and Prakriti together, that beautiful line between the interaction between consciousness, energy, and matter. In the yin and yang, you've got the energy and consciousness are all in one. And so when you put your mind to it, you're going to change. You're going to change matter. Now, so most of us practice as an exercise. We practice physically, meaning we try, especially when we adjust somebody, it's like matter adjusting matter. So that's very Newtonian. A billiard ball hitting a billiard ball. It takes time for me to go from here to the kitchen to make the cup of tea or coffee. To bend and flex and twist the body takes time to change it. If we're stuck in the space-time continuum, we will age. We will meet our limitations. We will get stuck. And so when you turn it into a meditation, what do? You're actually going then to a time-space dimension. That's the field. That's the field of energy. It's an illusion through our five senses that we are solid. It's an illusion through our five senses that we are fixed and governed by certain laws. So this is the Newtonian physics, which is really important. We can use it to a certain degree to learn to jump through, for example. But we have to realize that Newtonian physics has stuck us in the material world. And that material world keeps us separate. It keeps us separate as an individual, and that puts a control on us. Our senses put a control on us. The material world puts a control on us. When we go out through the senses to the material world of space-time. When we go in, we change that to time-space. You transcend the senses. You transcend the limitations of a separate, fixed, three-dimensional object. You go into the very place of thought. If you're stuck in your ordinariness, we're stuck with all of our story and our limitations. If we're able to then go through the focus of the mind to the breath-body movement, which is Tristana, which is Vinyasa. If your mind is counting that breath movement, the paradox is by measuring the time of the breath-body movement, you transcend time. And so time then becomes endless. If you have endless time, there is no time. If you're in that field, the unified field, there is no physical. What does that mean? It then means that you are no one. You're nobody. You're in nothing. You're nowhere. You're in no time. Which is a beautiful place to be, because then in that quantum place, you are infinite in your possibilities. And so when I look back over the years of my practice, my first handstand was a meditated handstand. I visualized it. Where I put my mind, my energy went and my body responds. So that is the quicker adjustment, is to be able to sit, take it in through your breath, through your body, transcend the physical realm, go into the quantum realm. When you're in the quantum realm, then what we have to have is a clear intention. We set a clear intention. And then with all of our bandha work, the heart is lifted, the heart is supported. The heart, if it's receiving that length, width, and depth, that three-dimensional breath, that heart is elevated. It's in levity. Yeah? Elevated. If you have then elevated, what does that mean? It's happy. It's joy. It's in love. And so with a clear intention, with an elevated heart, a love heart, body's going to respond. The body is a reflection of all of the thoughts that are going on inside. And so the third sutra that Guruji introduced to me, that was really important for me, and maybe was the first 1%, because there's another famous quote, Ashtanga Vinyasa Yoga is 99% practice, 1% theory. Practice, 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 do your practice and all is coming. There's many 1%. We don't just add 99% practice to 1% theory to get 100% practice. That's the ordinary thinking mind. That's an incorrect mathematical equation. You cannot add theory and practice together. They're two separate things. And so I would ask the question, why was he saying 99% and not 100%? Why didn't he say 100% practice? And then I realized that I was practicing 110% because I was exercising. I was really competing and striving out there. My friend Chuck Miller, we used to joke because Chuck said that Guruji said 95% theory. Sorry, 95% practice, 5% theory. And he would laugh and joke that he could handle 5% theory where I could only handle 1% theory. Because I was really hitting it 110%. And what I then realized, when I realized that you have to turn things upside down, from practicing out to practice in. Change that around and you get, there's many 1%. There's many 1% that you can practice 99% practice. That changes it. Take 1% theory and practice at 99% and all is coming. And then my mathematical brain goes, well, there's still a missing 1%. There's a missing 1%. Why doesn't he say 100%? 100% practice. Take 1% and practice at 100%. Then you realize that our material training, our material realm, everything's been trained in us to grasp and hold the outcome, the success. And so we have to let go. We have to let go of the attachment to the outcome and surrender. So take 1% theory, practice at 99%. Allow yourself to surrender to the outcome. And by the grace of God, all is coming. And so what I realized was the most important 1% that Pattabhi Jois gave me was this sutra. Posture, free breathing, looking place. There it is again, looking place, where you put your mind, you put your attention. Where you put your mind, your attention, your energy goes. Where your energy goes, your body will respond. We can look at it backwards and forwards. When I just look at it, posture, what does posture mean? For me, posture means attitude. You can read the attitude of a person simply by looking at their posture. And that posture will tell you their attitude. Their attitude will also then put you to be able to see which compartment of thinking they're doing. So you can almost begin to read their mind. Posture, expression. The facial expression tells us what we're thinking or what the person's thinking. Now, I'm very lucky that I had a very aware mum, and at the age of 13, when I was 13 years of age, my mum, I was in town shopping with my mum, and sorry, I'm just looking for the time because I don't know what the time is. And I was standing at the traffic lights with my mum to cross the busy street in Auckland City, New Zealand. And I must have been about 13, and I was standing at the lights, possibly leaning against the lamppost. And my mum said to me, "Johnny, tummy in." And so I must have had this real teenager posture. And I stood up and drew my abdomen in. And so I've had an abdominal awareness since about the age of 13. My very first teacher, Derek Island, that was the biggest thing he taught me. He said, Uddiyana Bandha's on for life. And then I've changed that. When you are lying down sleeping, you can let go of your awareness of Uddiyana Bandha because gravity does it for you. Gravity does it for you. But when you stand up or sit up, you have to create your own levity. Levity is the opposite to gravity. A levity in your heart, elevated heart. It's beautiful. You have a look at the word elevate, levity. In the Hebrew language, encoded in there is the word lev. Lev in Hebrew is heart. And so levity means buoyancy. If you have good bandha and you lift your heart, you equal and opposite to the forces of gravity, you have levity. If you have levity, you have this lifted and open heart. What have you got? Elevated emotions. You have joy, you have love. And so, posture, if you can sit there and have that heart lifted and elevated by bandha, and you're feeding it three-dimensionally with breath, your body is going to respond. Your environment is going to respond. So, space-time separates us for all of everything around us. Time-space connects us to everything. In space-time, we have the outer environment, and the outer environment is said to have an effect on us. We are this because of what the outside environment is. We've all had to survive the last 2 years, and most people have been conditioned by the environment. The yogis do the opposite. I create my outer environment knowing that it's what happens on the inside. It comes from my own elevated heart, my own elevated emotions. If you go into sadness, depression, it's very easy to become fearful. And so Pattabhi Jois gave me so many little beautiful cues or sutras. Posture, free breathing, looking place. If you work with your posture, what's going to happen? Free breathing. If you have bad posture, you have restricted breathing. If you have restricted breathing, the heart's not getting the blood properly, the brain's not getting the blood properly. Where we're going to be? We're going to be stuck in our ordinary thinking mind because the circulatory system is not flowing, it's not open. So the moment that I engage bandha and come into posture, the cause, the effect of that is that I get better breathing. I can now be conscious in my breathing, the length to the breath, the width to the breath, to the depth to the breath. So now my organs are all being flooded with oxygen. My heart organ is being flooded. My brain is being flooded with oxygen. So if I then have posture free breathing, what's going to happen? Focus. Pratyahara. Be able to control your mind. Where's the mind going to be? Go back to second sutra. All is God. You are God. This is God. They are God. It's going to change the way we relate to our outer environment because we're creating that outer environment now. If you are in that place where you're stuck in space-time, there's the separation. When there's the separation, what do we feel? Loneliness. What do we feel in that separation and loneliness? Doubt. We start to doubt everything. Doubt is the next step to fear, to being controlled by the outer environment. And so those three sutras for me were really important in terms of my whole journey of practice, but also my internal inquiry in terms of what is the philosophy of life? What is my purpose here? What am I doing here? Having a human experience. And so, yes, first of all, I have to cherish my body. I have to exercise my body. I have to then really work with my breath, exercise my breath, really start to explore what happens to the breath. When you start to explore what happens to the breath, you're going to start connecting to the first chakra, second chakra, third chakra, fourth chakra, fifth chakra, sixth chakra, seventh, eighth chakra. Oh, that's nice. 8, what's up there? 8 is the gateway or the star, the pole star, where your soul comes in. And so when I sit and do a practice at the morning, the first thing I do is I go from arriving in my first chakra, Mula Bandha. I really roll my pelvis anterior, feel that connection with my pelvic floor. I then roll it back posterior, which is then my hips, my groins, my second chakra. Why that? First chakra, to arrive. That's my word. I arrive in my earth. I'm part of earth. My Annamaya kosha is part of the mat, part of the floor, part of the earth, part of the trees. When I go backwards, what's second chakra? Second chakra is feeling. I feel and accept me, who I am. Second chakra is that real acceptance, to love, to feel emotions. So here I am, I've come down from the 8th chakra, all the way, arrived in a physical body, earth, into my waters, my emotions, second chakra. And then I go forward again into my third chakra, my navel center, my nabi chakra. This is where I go, I am, my will. I will participate. I'm going to participate 100%. First chakra, second chakra, third chakra. Really important through the whole of the primary series. We're working pelvic floor, groins, and abdomen. Those 3 chakras, what do they give? A foundation. They give you the fluidity. They give you the fire. And then that all lifts your 4th chakra. You arrive, you feel, you participate in unconditional love. It's about finding that unconditional love. When you find that unconditional love, what's the next chakra? 5th. music, sound, song, voice. So what we're going to do is I'm going to arrive, I'm going to feel, I'm going to participate fully with this unconditional love and express it. And express the unconditional love. Share it. Let everyone know. And then sixth chakra. What's sixth chakra? Third eye center. To see that everything is the same. Everything is God. Everything is one. Seventh chakra, connection. It's all connection. So my 7 words when I start off in the mornings: arrive, feel, I am, love, song, see, connect. And then I go up to 8 because I know that's the doorway, the portal where the soul came in. Yeah? And so when I'm up there, I draw that soul back down as I exhale. As I exhale, I draw that soul back in because that soul is the inner light. If you go one even further, up past 8, you're in the void. And if you can really use your imagination, you can go beyond space-time, time-space. You can go beyond even light itself. Light, speed of light, that's the control of the three-dimensional reality. When we go into the meditative state, what we're trying to do is to go right beyond light, speed of light, into the void, which is shunyata, which is just infinite potentiality, infinite space. And so when I'm sitting there and I've done an inhalation all the way through all of those chakras, I then exhale and I draw in space. I draw in soul, connectivity, vision, sight, song, nature, unconditional love, all the way down. Feel that fire and water, earth connection is how I begin my practice now. And so you might think I'm a bit crazy, but the Guruji Sutras have opened me up to this. Taking 1% theory and practicing it 99%. Keep repeating it, keep repeating it. And so many of the sutras have been just shared with me in a way that just take one of them and it's enough to build a whole philosophy on. For example, Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, there is the first 4 sutras, and then there's the other 100 and something, whatever. And those other are just basically explaining those first 4. And so for me, now, as the yoga lesson, or the inside, now inside is the yoga lesson. The Guruji Sutras are coming from the inside. What is yoga? Yoga is when we stop all of the turning and the twisting of that three-dimensional reality. Being stuck in it, this story, this control, that control. Caught up in space-time, caught up in my name, my form, who I am, where I am, yeah, when I am. When we're stuck with all of those, we're stuck. And so the yoga practice is to take you beyond name, somebody, someone, to take you beyond form, somebody. Yeah, to take you on beyond the place that you're occupying. This is my locale. I want to be non-local. If you're fixed in your local, then we're separate. And so when we then realize that we can even move beyond our local to our non-local, then that man is no longer exercising. That man has gone in to an inner inquiry. And so I wish to remind you of the superpowers that you first arrived with. As a baby, you first arrived with the power of awareness. That's Purusha. So when you see the little one come in, you're seeing Purusha. You're seeing Purusha looking at all of Prakriti, energy and matter. The babies come from the quantum field as Purusha into a manifest physical body, and you look at their eyes and they're going at Shakti. Shiva, Shakti. Shiva is in Shakti, Shakti is in Shiva. And so the Purusha, when you see that baby, we had incredible awareness. And then you look at a baby and you see their attention. The second superpower is the power of attention. And when they look at you, they're looking inside you so knowingly. Oh, we meet again. Or, who are you? We haven't met before. Awareness, attention, inquiry, curiosity. Curiosity. So I have a curious mind. My curious mind, I pay attention to my breath. I pay all the awareness of what I'm doing with my breath body. When I'm practicing, I'm inquiring, what am I doing? Where am I going? That becomes an adventure. So out of curiosity rises adventure. Watch children, and the biggest thing about adventure is they have beautiful imagination. And so the power of imagination, put that into the equation with a clear intention. That's where your energy goes. Matter will respond. And so with the child's imagination, they can create a castle, they can create a horse and carriage, they can create a sword fight, or they can create wings and a magic carpet. And so as an adult, when we use our awareness, our attention, our curiosity, our imagination, what will happen will be mystical. The practice of Ashtanga Vinyasa Yoga. Yoga is mystical. What is the mysticism? Where is God? What is God? Who is God? Where is God? It takes you back again. It's a mystical experience to realize that we are fooled by our senses. Absolutely fooled that everything is separate. We only see this band of light. We only hear this range of hearing. Yeah? Our voice, everything is limited. And so when you go into the transcendental state, this is where we call them siddhis. You start to hear things differently. You might notice that the cicadas start singing 10 o'clock in the morning. And then there's a magical time between maybe 5 and 6 o'clock at night when the cicadas stop and the crickets start. And so you start to become more aware again of what we are, a natural being in nature. We have separated ourselves so far out of nature. Now through our pratyahara, when we start really working in with the meditation, awareness, attention, inquiry, imagination, it becomes mystical. You start to realize that you can do more than you thought you could do. You can connect more with the tree, with the fact that they're breathing you. We're breathing them. A symbiotic relationship. From that mystical place, magic happens. Our yoga practice is to realize we are creators. If Guruji pointed at me and said, John Scott, where is God? This is God. This is God. You are God. I am God. You are all God. We are all creators. And we can access that quite simply. Posture, free breathing, looking place. Turn the exercise to a work in. Work in and question, what is this mind? And we start to realize we're here to learn to live intelligently and to understand the mind.